You might wonder, why do I have so many Star Wars books that I talk about on this video on this channel? And if you're not aware, I co-host a podcast with a good friend of mine named Gary Mastriano, who's in the ska band Backyard Superheroes, and we talk specifically about Star Wars books in that podcast. And most specifically, we talk about Star Wars books that are set in the High Republic time period, which is a new sort of publishing thing that Star Wars has done starting in January, where they have been releasing waves of this High Republic material. This is one of the newest items in one of those waves. This is Star Wars The High Republic, The Edge of Balance, which is their first original manga. So Star Wars has released manga before. From what I know of the manga they've released before, it has been manga adaptations of books that have already been created. In this case, this is an original manga, co-written by Shima, Shinya, and Justina Ireland, with art by Mizuki Sakakibira, and please forgive me if I messed up any of those names. Of course, I'm super familiar with Justina Ireland, who's also written other things in the High Republic, but in this case, she's helping to co-write a original manga. Now, this manga, so normally manga has some unique characteristics, one of which is that it reads from back to front and right to left because of its origin, right? And that's the way that they read. This is written where it's front to back and left to right. So this is going to be an easier transition for people who aren't super familiar with manga. And I'm going to say manga is probably one of my weak points. It's one of the things I'm less familiar with, though I am working to become more familiar with it all the time. Manga also has a distinctive art style, and it's also usually in black and white, although there are colorized versions as well. But this story specifically follows a young Jedi Master named Lily. And Lily is incredibly unsure of herself. She does not know, she doesn't feel like she has enough knowledge or enough wisdom. And her name is Lily Tora-Asi, and she has been specifically assigned to help displaced civilians after the Great Disaster relocate to Banchi. And her master, Arkov, who is a Wookiee, has been a great leader for her and helped her to come into her own. But he feels that perhaps she's a little bit too stiff, a little bit too inflexible. She needs to learn to be more flexible, and that she would benefit greatly from being around more younglings who are more flexible. Lily has a Padawan, and I'm trying to, if you've followed me for long, you know that I'm terrible with names and always have been. But she has a Padawan. And I'm not going to find his name super quickly, so I'm just going to move on. And so what happens? So she's helping these people relocate. One of the people who relocates seems to have brought with him the spores for some Drengir. And very quickly, these Drengir start to cause massive damage and attack the temple. Because this is a pretty short story. I mean, it's 142 pages of comic book that goes very, very fast. It doesn't take long before we're in deep action. And how will we stop these Drengir? Especially there's two. There are some unique things that the Drengir do. And by the way, if you don't know what the Drengir are, they're basically giant plant monsters who view all like living creatures, humans, and stuff like meat that they are to eat. You can think of the Venus flytrap from Little Shop of Horrors in some ways. But less sing-songy, more kill-killy. And so they have to work together to stop these Drengir, and there are some unique things that the Drengir do in this book that they haven't done in any of the other previous books. It's also, this sort of happens around the time of the fair, which is kind of the whole wave 2 of phase 1 of the High Republic storyline, centers around this great sort of galactic fair. And so there's also the Nile are involved. It's a really fun story. It's super quick. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend that you pick it up and read it because it's a different format, and that's so much fun. There is a volume 2 on its way. I think it's supposed to come in February. So The Edge of Balance, pick it up.